So today I'm talking about a Honda with the P1359 code, what it is, and how you go about fixing it. So what is a Honda P1359 code? Well, it's a crankshaft position, top dead center sensor circuit malfunction. And what does this mean? Well, the onboard computer uses sensors to track the position of the crankshaft as it spins and to track the location of the camshaft as it spins. And it's seen a problem with these, so it's going to have to be troubleshooted to know why. And the top dead center sensor is usually called the camshaft position sensor, but however you want to say it, it's tracking the location of the camshaft as it spins. And so what are some possible causes? Well, it could be a bad cam sensor, it could be a bad crank sensor, it could be in the wiring like an open or short, a blown fuse, and possibly something like a timing belt or timing chain. So the first thing to do when you get this code is go locate the crankshaft position sensor and the cam position sensors on your particular Honda, and there can be some differences. There can also be multiple ones sometimes. Older Hondas usually had one cam sensor and one crank sensor, but newer ones can have two, one for the intake and one for the exhaust. So it's always a good idea to go get a diagram for your Honda for where the cam sensor and crank sensors are located. Just makes it easier. But first thing to do is go locate them. The crank sensor will be down by the crankshaft somewhere down at the bottom of the engine, and the cam sensor will be located up on the top somewhere. Once you locate the sensors, next thing to do, check out the wiring real good and be sure everything's connected. Basically, just keep in mind anything wrong with the wiring is going to cause the same symptoms as a bad sensor. So anything like an open, short, bad connection. And you can also use a multimeter to check the wiring if you want to. There can be some differences sometimes in the wiring. Older Hondas often had 2 wires. Newer ones can have like 4 wires sometimes. But by far the most common is 3 wires. And basically what's going on with these is when the key is in the on position, you'll get power to it on one pin. One pin will have a ground, and then one pin will be a signal wire going back to the onboard computer. And every single time there's a piece of metal directly in front of the sensor, it sends a pulse back to the onboard computer. And so you can check to make sure that you're getting voltage and that you got a good ground. And you can also check the signal wire if you want to. There's some good YouTube videos on how you can check the wiring if you want to. Also keep in mind that this is going to be on a fuse, and it can vary sometimes on the fuse location and what it's called, but these sensors are usually on a fuse. For example, this is a 2015 Honda CR-V, and the fuse is going to be labeled ACG, and it'll be the fuse number 2. And if that was to blow, then it would cause issues. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind with this code is that if the timing belt's stretched, or if it slipped a notch, it could also throw this code. And so if you check out those other things and you don't see no problems there, and you either tested or replaced those sensors, then you might want to check this timing belt, because if it slips a notch, it's going to throw off the crankshaft correlation with the camshaft, and the onboard computer is going to think there's a problem in the circuit, and it's really just that timing belt is throwing off all the sensors. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you swap out these sensors, sometimes there's a relearn process. Not all the time. Sometimes you can just swap them out and you're good to go. But again, it's going to depend on the year of the Honda and the engine type. But sometimes they have a relearn process where you need an OBD2 scan tool to have them relearn, or you drive them and the onboard computer has a relearn process when you're driving it. And so if you do swap these out and for some reason the engine's not running correctly and the engine's running rough or anything like that, you might want to research the particular Honda year and engine to see if it has a relearn process for the cam sensor and the crankshaft sensor, since sometimes they do. So that's basically it. I just wanted to make a video on how you go about fixing a Honda with the P1359 code. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.